we have here Maor Appelbaum, um, mastering engineer extraordinaire, and amongst many other things you do. So I guess we'll start with how did you get yourself involved in this wonderful world called the music industry? I mean, as long as I've known you, you're one of the few guys that actually masters records. You're not the guy that's like wears like 15 different hats and then mastering. So how did you end up becoming a mastering engineer versus some of the other titles that other people hold?
And I in the past I did produce some bands of mine
Mm-hmm.
when I had bands that I was part of, and I was doing the recording, the mixing. But I noticed that mastering was more fitting me because I was a music journalist for a while.
Okay.
I was a DJ at clubs, and I did some radio. So coming with the background of the person who listens to the records and
Mm-hmm.
reviews them or plays them to the people or puts them on the radio, I hear it in a listener's perspective, but in a presentation perspective of
Yeah.
where you can take it to, and then having the background as a musician and having the background in engineering and doing that, I felt that if I take the pluses of everything, combine them, where my forte or where I can bring my best to the table is the just the before it's out, which is like the final step of the production, which is after the arrangement, after the production of the mixing and the after recording and the mixing, and then just the final touches to tweak it to make people connect to it better and have a more enjoyable listening experience, something they want to go back to. And I felt that having the background of the engineering, of the band member, of working with bands, doing audio work, if it was live sound or studio or anything or broadcasting, and the music journalism and the DJing and all that, it just all combined together to be where is my place, and my place is just the buffer between the production and the listener.
Okay. And I know you have like a pretty extensive catalog of music that you've actually worked on. I mean, you worked on people like Tony McAlpine. Worked with you work with a lot of different people in the metal and rock genre. Tell me about some of the records that you've worked on. That I mean, how do you get your clients, and how it's like, or do you go out, do you approach people, or do they come to you, or tell me a little bit about how you went about for the records that you worked on.
Uh, can we pause for a second?
Sure.
Okay, just a second. Bands that I worked with, for example, like Faith No More, Yes, Meatloaf, Sacred Reich, Eric Gales, Annihilator, Reincarnation, Sepultura, Halford, Yngwie Malmsteen. I did a new single for Dream Theater. Um, Cynic, Yngwie Malmsteen. Tony McAlpin was a band called Seven the Hard Way.
Mm-hmm.
Armored Saint, Sabaton, and wow, there's a bunch of El Nino, Starset, and Dawkins.
You worked on a Starset record?
I did the first Starset record
Oh, I
transmission.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, today a lot of the music is streaming with no credits, so nobody knows who did what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that record that I did for Starset, the single "My Demons" went gold.
Yeah.
It was very successful. Um, so a lot of these artists, I grew up listening to some of them,
Yeah.
or I know of some of them, or some of them are new.
Yeah.
Um, some of them come to me because their producers worked with me,
Yeah.
or their mixer worked with me,
Okay.
or I met them and down the line we stayed in contact, and then you know we tried something and it worked and we did it. And, um, and then some of them I reached out. Some of them reached out to me because of certain records I've done, and sometimes it's word of mouth. You know, they have a friend who knows me or of me and tells them. Um, and some of them, it's kind of like when the stars align. You know,
Yeah.
um, some of them are smaller bands that brought bigger bands, or you work with somebody on a smaller project and then he's involved with a bigger project and he liked the way you work with him. So kind of like that. Some records are a few records. Like, yes, I've done 6 records with them.
Okay.
Fate No More, I've done 2. I've done the comeback album, which is Soul Invictus, which was the last one,
Yeah.
and the singles that were with it. And also, I remastered the first record, We Care a Lot, with the deluxe band edition. That's like,
Oh wow. Okay.
which came out really cool. So, record
Yeah.
from the beginning. Eric Gales, I've done 3 albums with him.
Oh nice.
What else? Um, Second Reich, I did the comeback album, Awakening.
Yeah, that's the one that came out a few months ago, right?
A year ago, I think, a year so.
Okay.
Um, Green Carnation, I did the new album, which is a comeback album, and then I
Okay.
did an old album and did a new single that was kind of the Corona thing. During the Corona, they did a new single. Annihilator, I did their latest album, the Sadistic Ballistic. Trying to look here. Meatloaf, we've done only 1 record because that was the only record he didn't.
Okay.
And Sabaton, we did 1 album and we did 1 single that was not in the album. Actually, 2 singles. Um, and so some of them are more repeating clients. Some of them are, like 1 record. Then it depends which producer or management or label they are. That also affects. Like Sepultura, I've done Kairos. That was like
Okay.
10 years ago. So a lot of times, you get the job to do the mastering based on either the band, the producer, the mixer, the label, the management, whoever makes, the decision there, or it's a combined decision, you know. So Armored Saint, I did 2 records. I did a La Raza and I did a live album.
Oh nice. Okay.
Um, Today is the Day, I remastered like 3 records for them.
Oh nice. Okay.
Candlemass, I did 1 EP. I don't remember all this stuff. Mayhem, I did 1 album. Abath, I did 1 album. The latest one I did, actually, the latest Abath.
Okay.
Starset, I only did the first record.
Yeah.
Cynic, I did like 3 records. I did Retraced, Carbon Based Anatomy, and Kindly Bent to Free Us.
Okay.
So, it's you might do 1, you might do a few, you might just do that 1. It's really it's kind of unpredictable.
Yeah.
If the record is good and people love it and the band is happy, they might work with someone else on the next one, or really.
Okay.
But in general, the work comes in from different aspects. Relationships you have with producers, mixers, engineers, managements, record labels, um, friends of friends, records that you've done that people like and they approach you because of that. Or you meet the bands.
Yeah.
Like Sabaton, I knew Sabaton for years because when I was in Israel, more than 13 years ago, this is like way more, I was the first DJ in Israel to play Sabaton.
Oh nice.
And I reviewed one of their records, I think, also in one of the magazines.
Okay. Okay. Well, you actually led into my next question to ask you about. I know you're originally from Israel, so I mean, in terms of making music over there, and especially on a global basis, I mean, is it easier? Is it easy for like people who work in the music industry in Israel to get work to produce music for the audience, or how does it work over there? I mean, prior to you moving to the States, how easy or how hard was it for you to get international clients being based over there prior to moving over here?
I'll start with this. First of all, it's very hard there
Hmm.
because the music industry there is super small.
Oh, okay.
It's mostly far from that type of music. So, you know, I do all styles of music, like, from jazz, classical, cinematic, blues, funk, metal, rock, dance, pop, hip hop. I do all of that.
Hmm.
But in Israel, there is genres there, but what's on the radio is what's on the radio. You don't have like here all these stations, one that does classic rock, one that's active rock, one that does pop, one that's a mixture. Most of them are kind of the same, what's there, um, you might have a few programs that have other music, but industry there is very, very specific, and whatever you do out of that range is niche,
Hmm.
like really what you would call alternative. Not because there's alternative music, it's just alternative to what's there.
Yeah.
So that market is really small, and there are good musicians there, but they don't have a place to really showcase it much. And they have to build their own fan base. Now, some of them have done that.
Yeah.
When they do a show, they get people coming. But it's really small amount of bands that actually got to that position where they built a crowd,
Hmm.
follow them, and continue to follow them. But they have to be strategically right with it. They can't just be like, oh, we have fans, we can do a show every 2 days. No,
Yeah.
we got to spread it out really far enough so they can get the draw. They do shows
Yeah.
too close, they won't. And at the same time, Israel is what, a few hours from Europe.
Yeah.
So a lot of Israelis will go to festivals in Europe. A lot of Israelis that like niche music, like
Hmm.
metal or alternative rock. So you're competing also with a market that's outside Israel. That there's shows over there, and people go
Yeah.
on the weekend. They want to go, catch a band in England. They'll go if they can. It's a flight. It costs money, but
Yeah.
but there's not a lot of local bands that you can say there's a huge scene there.
Hmm.
There's the small scene. Um, some of the bands have international recognition because
Yeah.
they broke they came out, they did their touring, they got signed to a label, and they got a fan base outside. But there are not a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Do
getting
you?
international clients from there is not an easy gig.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So based on the artists you've worked with, like, do you find it that do you find is it hard to find? I'm not even talking about good or bad, but just finding bands from Israel. Period. I mean, just do you find and like what percentage of your clientele is even if there is even if you even know it, would you say are bands from that region?
I do have clients from there. I just did some work from there, but it's a very small amount. I
Okay.
do, nowadays I do get more work from there than before
Okay.
because more bands are inclined to work with people outside.
Okay.
And where in the past it was only specific ones that either had the funds or had the connection or really wanted to approach it. Today, the world is smaller. Social media is all over.
Yeah.
People are more available to that option
Hmm.
of doing it. And
Okay.
since I speak Hebrew, not since because, sorry, see, my English is not right. Because I speak Hebrew, then I can cater them on the level of them talking to me like they're not used to talk.
Okay.
Um, so I do get work from there, and today it's progressing to more of it, but still it's a really small amount compared to what I get from here in Europe, South America.
Okay. I'm always curious because, it's like in the past, I mean, there were a few bands that were from Israel. Like, who was that band? I think like Orphanland or something like that. That they were kind of like the big band. But then there were bands that I wouldn't, you can call them bands or projects like Rabies Castate. They were, I think, like, I can't remember, like, what, they were in a mix. Like, I think one guy was from Russia, and I can't remember if it was one,
Rabies cast.
which one?
Rabies cast.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
They were signed to E-Rake.
Yeah. Wasn't it like one guy was from Israel and two guys were from Russia, or maybe I got it backwards, but.
They were all Russians that lived in Israel.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, they're Russian immigrants that lived in Israel. They're Israelis because they live in Israel, but they're Israeli by their geographical.
Oh, okay.
Russians, yeah.
Okay. The explanation was kind of weird, so I wasn't sure if it was like maybe one guy was Russian and two guys were Israeli, or they were like mixed or something. So the explanation was a little weird, but okay. So there were bands like that, but I mean, it's like other than that, you don't really hear of anybody else for a long time. So they were probably the two artists that were really kind of on the international scene.
Well, in Europe, you'll see more Israeli bands.
Mm-hmm.
But, to come to America to tour, it's not economical for them.
Yeah.
They don't live here, and they have to, West Coast, East Coast. It's just a big expense. But in Europe, they do a lot. There's bands like Aralo, Hammer Cult was one of them too, Bet Sefer, Walkaways.
Okay.
There's actually quite a few that they actually toured in Europe, and the only ones that came, I think, to America was Orphanland.
Okay.
But or maybe Bet Sefer, I don't know. But there were quite a few bands that already kind of went out and toured. Subterranean Masquerade, that's another one.
Okay.
There were bands touring outside Israel, but again in Europe because it's easier to fly there. The countries are closer to each other, so you can do a date and then go to England or go to Spain or to Switzerland or Holland. You know what I mean? It's much easier.
Yeah.
To do it that way.
Understandable. So. Okay. And I want to move back to kind of like what you do, but the focus of this channel is entrepreneurship, and as I call it, like reinventing the hustle, like kind of like adapting to the new norm, because not only because of the current situation, but just the changes in the music business. But from what you've experienced as a mastering engineer, especially with the role that you have, how you work then versus now, how have things changed in terms of maybe your role in the recording process? Do you find it change a lot or change a little bit, or tell me a little bit about how you approach the projects then versus maybe in recent years in terms of your role with various projects? Is it still largely mastering, or do you take on other roles as well when you pick up clients?
I personally only do mastering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that means that a project comes in and it needs adjustments that I recommend changing in the mix,
Mm-hmm.
tell them, because if it can become better, why not?
Mm-hmm.
If it can help them improve a product, I'll give them my opinion, and if they want to make changes, they'll do, and if they don't, we'll work with it as is. But I'm still in the role of the mastering engineer.
Yeah.
I give them my own, personal opinion, what I hear and what I think they can improve. But I'm still just doing mastering.
Yeah.
In terms of how the hustle, LA is not an easy place.
Yeah.
As much as there are opportunities, there's also competition.
Yeah.
And also there's, people use the term flakiness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. The thing about the hustle and all that is it's easy to not become a good person.
Yeah.
What this place can do to you. People start to be ignoring people that can actually give them potential work. People
Yeah.
need to not take you seriously unless they see dollars in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
You know, um, and that's natural to happen, especially in a place like LA.
Hmm.
The scene today is not the scene that it was 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Things have changed.
Yeah.
Um, when people say that there's no budgets, it's true, but it's not true. It's true,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no budget, but it's not true because people have the same money.
Yeah.
If somebody tells me they don't have money, and then you see them, I don't know, buying a new car, well, you can't tell me you don't have no money. You
Yeah.
just you didn't want to put the money on the budget. And I can see that happening because I see a lot of businesses doing,
Yeah.
you know, and of course in the music industry, yeah, the record labels are not willing to put the money, but that
Hmm.
doesn't mean you can't put money from your pocket. It's your music, right?
Yeah.
So um, when somebody tells me I don't make money off music, so I don't have the budget to put on it, and I ask him, well, do you have a day job? He's like, yeah. What do you do? Oh, I work in high tech, or I work in IT,
Yeah.
like in IT support here. Or I work in salesman of this and that. Oh, so you do make money.
Yeah.
You do have a budget. You just don't want to put it there. All right.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of it is air talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the record label is not putting the budget, I get it, but you're going to put that money on something else, right?
Yeah.
When people say they didn't have the budget, so it didn't go to mastering, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Did it go to? Did Where did that money go to? Okay, the record label just okay, they paid the producer, but the artist has the money, and anyway,
Yeah.
they pay back the record label. So it's a lot of air talk surrounding that, and of course, you can't compare today's budgets to 10 years ago, 15,
Yeah.
20, 30. The music industry was booming. People had
Yeah.
tons of money. But, you know, still people you, um, like to listen to music. Artists are not making a lot of money. I
Yeah. That's
agree with
true.
that. Okay. Streaming did, Streaming was a double edged sword. And that's where people didn't understand that. They thought that streaming gives them opportunity. It's
Hmm.
true. Lets everybody be accessible to your music, but it's numbers.
Yeah.
You got a huge catalog. How are you going to spread the money, right? Of course, the companies make a lot of money on it, but of course, and I'm not saying that it's not true. It's true, but
Yeah.
artists have to understand that if you don't sell a product, you can't have direct money.
Yeah.
Streaming is
That's
not
true.
going to give you enough money unless you're going to have millions and trillions of you know streams. You know, so the only way for you to make money is to sell product. If it's
Yeah.
hats, patches, hoodies, whatever, records, vinyls, cassettes. You know what I mean? The product is still important in order to make money.
Yeah. That's true.
So with that affecting my hustle, you know, I gotta hustle like everybody else.
Yeah. That's
You
true.
know, I gotta go out there and bring the bread home.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how about like I know you also opposite problem where they have a budget for you, but then they don't really spend any money on they I don't know how they record it, but somehow they have a friend or somebody record and then mix it. But then again, it could be they had a minimal budget on that because somebody promised them a very I guess a package deal where they record and mix, and then and then they'll spend money on mastering, but then I don't know whether the product is actually decent before. So how much of that do you deal with where you have people that try to go with the economic price recordings and mixing, and then you're kind of stuck having to clean up everything at the end.
Well, today we have more of that because people can record at home.
Yeah,
Up, they put a program, either they bought it or cracked it or it came free.
yeah,
Sometimes the recordings are really bad, sometimes they're fine. Sometimes they hire a mixer and he does an amazing job cleaning up what they did, you know, and sometimes they don't. I get a mixed bag of everything. I get stuff that sounds really bad, which I can only take if this was the case, but it's still better than what it was.
yeah,
Okay. And I can improve it. And I get stuff that's really cool and up, and I can improve that. And I get stuff that's stellar, and I can do what I can do to it, from minimal to more than minimal. But the thing is, sometimes people are, they're trying to save more and more, and they're actually losing more and more because they're like, we didn't spend much on recording and mixing. We don't want to spend a lot on mastering. Well,
yeah,
even if what you have is not amazing, you have a chance to actually improve it. And you know what? If you did it for free, recording and mixing, and you didn't spend a dime on it, then why not put money on this? Or if you are not spending and you're doing it by yourself, and you're going to
yeah,
and the mastering engineer tells you change this and change that, improve this and improve that, and it's on your time for free because you're not paying for it, then you benefited something. You know, there's always better recordings, more experienced people, less experienced. You always had that. I mean, even when there were budgets, there were always better engineers and
mhm,
better producers. Okay, but some of these records were just fitting them right. They sounded right. They had the
yeah,
tone, they knew. It's really about finding what fits and what makes it better. If you can improve something, why not? You know, but we get it all. I mean, like,
yeah,
you know, and some people get less. It always also depends on pricing. Like my price is not too cheap,
yeah,
expensive, but it's not too cheap. So already that filters out even some good bands that maybe don't
mhm,
have the money. It probably filters out a lot of bands that are good that don't have the money to spend. But it filters out a lot of really bad stuff too.
yeah,
But once in a while, you'll have people who do have the budget to invest, and it's bad or not great, but they have the budget to invest and they'll do so.
yeah,
And there are engineers who are more expensive, and they'll probably get even, they'll have less of the bad stuff because it's harder to invest in the bad stuff unless you really have a lot of money. Um,
yeah.
and plus, you work on certain records, you get recognition. That's part of it too. So they have the recognition.
Okay, cool. So, and I was just curious about this. I know there's a lot of startup apps where there's people that are trying to create whatever you want to call it, like apps with recording, whether it's just, I don't mean like Avid and things like that. I'm trying to remember what the most recent one that I came across is. I know on a lot of maybe on YouTube. I think like someone like, what's that company called, like Sound Better or something like that. I think that's connected with Spotify, that they're really trying to promote like their version of a recording experience. I'm not sure how it works. Have you come across any of these apps that are trying to promote like recording on your own, or I don't know if it's supposed to be recording off your phone or your tablet, but have you experimented with that, and what are your thoughts on that form of recording versus actually going in a studio?
Sound Better started as a company that was basically facilitating work for people, for professionals. I'm also on the website. It was like a database of
Yeah.
engineers, recording, mixing, mastering, and art, and also instrument players. And you could hire somebody to mix your song if you send them your tracks, or master your song, or have a guitar player add guitar parts, or vocalists add vocal. So basically, it was like a platform to hire professionals,
Oh, okay.
and so you could actually hire somebody, to produce. You give them a demo and say, "I want you to, produce this demo to become something bigger," and then you hire certain players. and then later on Spotify bought them.
Yeah.
But this platform existed to facilitate music professionals, and there were other platforms like that. Some of them were smaller, some of them bigger. Back then, now it's probably the biggest one because it's with Spotify. But the idea was to have a place to hire the professionals.
Yeah.
I don't know regarding if they have an app to record or anything. Maybe there is. I didn't see that. But there are today what you call AI,
Hmm.
intelligence mastering, which is like a website has a web-based AI algorithm that can put the music in and it will go by what it thinks, not thinks, what it's programmed to do based on certain parameters, and maybe you can change a few things in it. But there's no
Yeah.
human interaction or taste or just what was fed in the AI originally, based on what they calculate, not somebody who brings their taste or communication with the artist to get desired results. So the AI platforms are starting to boom. There's quite a few of them already. What's booming big time now is education.
Yeah.
You have YouTube videos and platforms for people to learn.
Yeah.
Some of it are professionals that really know their stuff, and some of them are professionals that are not known.
Hmm.
And that's where some people are maybe not taking it as if it's serious or not. But some of them are you know with good credits and proof of work, and some of them you know not as much, but they're making their money off this educational thing. And some of them are in between. They're really good, but they didn't get you know they haven't become an authority yet, or they will be, or they don't have the notability. You know what I mean? They're not known yet, but that's
Okay.
booming big time because it's like tutorials. There's a lot of them. It's
Yeah.
a new business in audio.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because I see hear a lot about it, but then again, I don't know too many engineers that have really played around because they have their own gear to deal with, and then this is like a new world we're entering into with all these people coming in, and you got all these new technologies coming in, and how I don't know how much it really cuts into everybody's, because I mean there's a new generation of people that record differently than maybe some of the people you've worked with. So that's why I'm always curious, like, how does it affect you, and
Well,
if that's ever been an issue. So
it will always affect because if you have 100 people that before that they didn't have the tools and now you have 80 of them, that's 20 people you lost. Then another 20, that's 60 people, 40 people you lost. It starts to, there's always going to be that. You can even ask yourself, how did photography change?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, today, everybody has a really good camera on their
Yeah.
phone. Okay. You know how many photographers it put out of business? Even if they don't tell you,
It put a lot of people out of business.
right? And even if still it doesn't match up with the quality of a good photographer, at the end of the day, some of these people are not looking for that quality.
Yeah.
And the same will happen to every line of business. Video editing. Back in the day, I was actually, I was a broadcasting engineer. And we were doing live TV and stuff like that. Back in the day, those skills, you had to work hard to get them.
Yeah.
Still need to work hard to get them. But today, everybody can edit at their home.
Yeah.
You get the same results. But guess what? The plugins and the programs are getting so much better, they need to have less skill in order to achieve the same well, not the same as the same per se, but they don't need as much skills to achieve results that are on par with what they were before that hiring a professional.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's stuff that still the professional can do that the other person can't, even with good software. But it's like it's democratization.
Yeah.
It starts to be accessible. And now you can listen to 30 bands and they can sound very similar. Not because the way they wrote the music,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll use the same samples.
Yeah.
Use the same plugins. They use some of the same techniques that they learned from the tutorials, or the same samples that this guy has and this guy has, and the same presets. And it starts to sound similar. Sometimes I'll get a bunch of bands that sound very similar, and it's my job to make them sound different
Yeah.
because I'll shape and color and vibe it different than the other, even though the mixes are pretty similar. And that has to do a lot with tools that we have in disposal. It has to do also with inspiration.
Yeah.
Inspired from? Are we inspired from originators, or you know the trailblazers? Or are we inspired with things that came later on, which are
Yeah.
legends? But now are we inspired from them? You know. So and that affects. So in 10 years from now, if people are going to be not inspired by any artist that was 40 years before, then they'll be inspired from the newer ones.
Yeah.
Maybe be good, but at the same time, this is their point of starting point. And as technology grows, there's less and less limitations.
Yeah.
And the limitations were the rules to be broken.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you listen to Black Sabbath, that thing cuts a hole in the wall. That thing
Yeah.
cuts down the house. How old is that thing?
What is it now? 50 years old or something like that?
Well, it should be probably 51.
Yeah.
Okay, I think 51, right? 69 it came out, or 70?
Like that. Yeah.
No, it's 70. So yeah, it's 50 years old. Okay, and that thing still today, you play it,
Yeah.
it still kicks, major. But and guess what? How long did it take to record that? That's a few days of recording.
Yeah, that's true. That's the crazy part.
But it's so real. It's like you hear it. It's like, okay, so some of these things will live. I can't say forever because I don't know what's going to happen. But some of these things were so inspiring.
Yeah.
Then there's other stuff that is inspiring for a year or two, 5 years, maybe 10 years at max. So as we go through to the future, things have less of a shelf life
Yeah.
because we're bombarded with more records. If you had, when you were 12, not 12, let's say 15, you had 10 records you were listening to.
Yeah.
When you were 18, you had 30 records you were listening to. And as you grow, you had more. Now somebody who's 15, he has 500,000 records he can listen to.
Yeah.
He probably only listen to 50.
Yeah.
And then 200. But think of it this way. When you were, how old are you today?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 47.
Okay. Go back, rewind.
Yeah.
That was your epiphany.
Yeah.
Wow, I just discovered music big time, right? And it was flooding you. But how did you get your music?
I had to buy most of it, so.
You had to walk to buy it. You had to go to a record store.
Yeah, I had to go to a record store.
Listen to it and buy it, right? Now you don't, right?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
The vinyl. I mean, they can buy on Amazon. But somebody who wants to discover new music, how is he discovering it?
They're finding it on the internet, however the way they can.
Okay, so let's say streaming. They click it,
Yeah.
right? So they don't actually have to walk physically into a record store, look at the covers, pull it out, put it on the record player, listen, spend the time. They can do it quick.
Yeah.
They can acquire more records. That means that every record that they acquire has potentially a smaller shelf life.
Yeah.
Because every day they discover another 20, 30 records.
Yeah, that's true.
When you discovered a record, how long did you listen to it to really know it?
I pretty much figured out most of the times within the first couple songs that I knew that that's the record I wanted to listen to. So.
And how long did you listen to it after you discovered it? How would we say, how long were you in it? Like you were like, oh, for a month I was just doing it.
Yeah, it was roughly a month, maybe. Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah,
Okay, and then you have to search for a new one, right?
yeah,
Okay, so the search is over because now you can search immediately.
yeah,
I don't like this. I don't like that. Now you already went 10 records already in a minute.
yeah.
You tested 10 records.
Well, nowadays it's not. You don't even need to search. All you need is a playlist, and you just go. I like that one. Don't like that song. This one's okay. I'll come back to it, and it just. It's not. It's you don't even need to put any thought into it because like you can kind of tell, or you get that list as for fans of and blah 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 blah, and then you're like, okay, I like this band. Okay, maybe I'll check out this one. No, I don't like the name of this band, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Almost like the thought process is gone. So
Back in the day, we had to either watch Headbangers Ball or listen on a radio station, Friday Rock Show or whatever rock show, or we had to buy a compilation record,
yeah,
or we went to our friend and he would like, dude, you got to listen to this and that.
yeah,
So the discovery is not as much as it used to be.
yeah,
Also, to make a classic record today is harder because of so much stuff.
yeah,
I tell this to some of my clients. It's like, it's better to make this record have the biggest shelf life you can.
yeah,
You're not competing with other records. Sometimes they want to compete with other records. By them competing, they're not competing. They're putting them in the same place as the other records.
yeah. That's true.
So they're like, oh, I want to sound like this. But yeah, this exists. Why do you want to sound like that?
Yeah,
Because if somebody has to choose between you or what you want to sound like, they're going to listen to what you want to sound like and not you.
yeah. That's true.
They have it what they want, it's already existing what you want to sound like, and they're a fan of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So give your thing a place to develop. You might be influenced from a band, that's fine, but the competition now is not, oh, we're the same volume level, oh, we have the same highs, we have the same set. No, it's what do you bring to the table? If you sound like 30 other bands and the only difference is your drummer's cooler, drummers might like it.
Yeah,
or not the drummer, or maybe other people will like the drummers playing. But the thing is, don't try to sound like 30 other bands.
yeah,
Because they'll choose the 30 other bands that already made the playlist that they like.
yeah. Or that other band's gonna steal your drummer, and then basically your cool factor is completely out the window. So
Yeah, but that's a rare case.
that's true.
It's a rare case. You really have to convince somebody to be in a band nowadays. Because
Yeah,
money. But I mean most of them. But that's the thing that I see when bands are trying to compete, and the competition that they're trying to enter is not a competition.
yeah.
It's the same.
Okay. And then while we're on the subject of apps and things like that, weren't you working on some kind of a plugin or some? I can't remember if you were explaining to me what you were working on aside. Weren't you working on some kind of a program?
Actually, I'll show you this. It's funny. I just put it down. I didn't want to.
Okay.
This is the device. It's called
Oh wow. The
the
oven.
analog. It's a collaboration. Here I'm showing it. The oven. It's
Oh
a
okay.
collaboration between Handy Amps, which is a company that makes amplifiers and custom gear and studio gear and microphones and preamps and compressors and EQs,
Oh nice.
and a collaboration between them and me came up with this unit. Well, I'll show it again. It's a coloration, vibe, saturation, mojo, tone shaper, and it helps you change the sound to make it either warmer or brighter and fuller and more upfront, more forward, more exciting, more pizzazz, more. You can clean up some stuff as well. Texture, coloration. And so it's a hardware unit, and it's not cheap. So it's kind of a build to order. So some producers are really digging it.
Mm-hmm.
I can name some of them that have it, um, but I mean, it's, it's not like a ton of them are made. It's a few. It's really small numbers. But there's like a mixing engineer, more into hip hop and R&B, named Bob Horn. He has one. There's a mastering engineer in Israel named Yoram Bazan that has one. Um, there's a few musicians that own it. There's a producer and songwriter, Kane Churko. He's the
Oh,
sound.
okay.
He's quite a known producer. He's done a bunch of bands. Kane did Gemini Syndrome. Um, he worked with In This Moment. He worked with quite a few bands. He owns one as well.
Okay.
He's really digging it. So he did different instruments through it. Drums, guitars, synthesizers, vocals, beats, different. The mix bus itself. And there's a few other people who really dig the unit and want to get one too. So, but they're built to order and they're like $6,400. So they're
Oh,
not cheap.
nice.
So it takes a while till somebody, even if they're really excited about it, it takes a while till they can allocate the money, and it takes a
Okay.
while to build one. So that's that. In terms of plugins and stuff like that, I write presets for a lot of companies like Waves, and a bunch of presets for the Applewood mastering chain, for the R series compressors, for the Chris Lord Algae, Echosphere, and Epic reverbs and delays. Uh, presets for companies like Softtube, their full vendors, and vendors, or many compressors, Zinger Bender, and other companies like Pulsar Audio and Arturia and Leapwing Audio and a few others. So I'm involved with creating presets for those companies
Okay.
and this hardware. And I am venturing into the plugin world as well in terms of design stuff. Um, right now, it's more kind of a venture. It's the presets. It's interesting for me because I enjoy. I really put a lot of effort in writing these presets and to make them work for everybody who can just put them on and as a starting point. Sometimes they just need that. They can work with it, or other times they'll start with that and then tweak it more to fit. So it's exciting because it's another realm of mastering, but or tweaking audio for people to actually utilize in their own workstation. So it's cool for me on a exploration,
Yeah.
and with the design of the hardware. I have a lot of custom gear, as you can see here, in the studio.
Okay.
A lot of it is designed with me, so I'm involved in the design, and some of it is an original design that was tweaked with me, asking for changes, and some of it is from scratch. We started
Okay.
scratch designing together, and some of it is normal stuff that I tweaked either myself or the company, and some of it is just top tier anyway that I didn't do anything. But some of my designs only worked for me because the parts are hard to allocate, so we didn't make them for others.
Yeah.
They're hard to allocate. But the oven that I showed you, that's that's the first collaboration that actually came out, and we're already working now on a channel strip,
Okay.
functions like that. That would be really interesting, for recording vocals or instruments, bass guitars, keyboard, that would have different functions and other coloration boxes. So that's another venture that has to do with mastering and audio, but it just, you know, it's that it keeps you on your feet.
Yeah.
It's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So that's what it is, and yeah, and in the plugin world, I'm getting into that in a way, but also with the hardware, and it's it keeps your mind working on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, what was the other thing I was going to ask you? Yeah. Oh, I remember what it was. With the oven, did you ever get a chance to present it at this past year's NAM? I know there's not quite a NAM in January, but I mean there's a virtual one. But did you do any kind of presentation with this past January or?
No, because you know it takes a while till we finish this unit. This unit is probably 2 years plus.
Oh, okay.
I think the later prototypes I had them in February, I think, or March, and then we made some more tweaks, and then June, like even we had original prototypes scratched, then start from scratch again. Later prototypes, scratch them again, and then the third ones. These are good. Now we start redoing stuff, taking
Oh, okay.
functions in, changing functions, tweaking, clearing up stuff, changing the faceplate. Every time we had to buy new faceplates because we decided to change the names of stuff. You're paying just for a new faceplate. It's just how it looks.
Yeah.
It's like a paint job. You have to do it. Um, so I didn't present that. And also the past few NAMs, I don't remember it's 5 NAMs or 6 NAMs. I don't remember how many, but I've been doing lectures at NAMs.
Yeah.
I think you would see me. We would meet each other like outside the convention center,
Yeah.
and so I would lose my voice.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's like,
So I couldn't. If I was presenting this on the floor, no way I could do a lecture. Like it was so hard because I would lose my voice a lot of times.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, well, that's not hard to do even when you're not doing a lecture. So,
what, losing the voice?
yeah. I mean, at NAM, it's just you're basically yelling over everything. So,
NAM is like one big air conditioner that you're in front of it, and then
yeah.
a ton of people talking, and then all of the guitars are playing, and all the bass and all the drums, and now you're trying to tell somebody something.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. That's about sums it up. Yeah. So it's just, and then you threaten never to go back again, and then basically you're there the next year. So,
Oh, I love NAM. I'll tell you what. The good thing about NAM is this. You know, if you take the harshness of it out of
mhm.
the equation, which is hard, but if you take that harshness out of the equation, there's a lot of amazing stuff that can happen.
Yeah.
Like I met so many people throughout the years. I've I've worked with so many people from
Hmm.
there, and it's it's amazing that some people you become friends with, and sometimes that's the only time you can see them. You know,
Yeah.
you're up there, here, they're there, they're touring. So you have 5 minutes with them. It's a 5 minutes you don't get other times. Sometimes
Yeah.
lunch with like sometimes I'll be like, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, let's grab lunch, and then we sit and have lunch together or dinner. And I have to admit, my older NAMs were more crazier than the last. I had to tone down things because the old NAMs, I mean, dude, go to sleep at 4 or 5 a.m., wake up 3 hours later, like
Yeah.
whatever you're doing.
Well, I've done those.
And the last years, I would be like more calmed down, you know, and just because I wanted to stay focused. And plus, every year you get sick.
Yeah.
Anthrax thing. Although the last year I didn't get sick.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I think I've gotten sick maybe once in 20 years or something.
Did you go all 3 days?
Yeah, I went like 4 days and I still didn't get sick. So
You're lucky. You're
I'm the
lucky.
only person who didn't come out of there with like sick for a month. So
I think I got sick 3 times or 4 times.
okay.
Like that. I know for sure there were 2 times I really got sick.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4, but the past 2 years I've been really trying to be safe.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I didn't party in the nights. That's easier to get sick.
No, there's all sorts of, there's other ways of getting sick. It's just being around people, and then somehow I don't know, I somehow dodged it so many years in a row. I don't know how, but I just did. So, but wow, so okay.
Sometimes it's too cold in the night,
Yeah.
outside in a party. The next day you're like, oh shit, I got something, you know?
And there's the one year where it was raining all weekend. I still didn't I got rain, I still didn't get sick. So I don't know. Somehow I dodged it. So
Maybe somebody needs to take your blood and clone it to people who come to NAM and it's like, hey guys, this blood won't get you sick.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, nobody's offered yet, so but I don't know, but all right, cool.
NAM, just as a side note, it's getting bigger every year, except now, I mean, where it's fell. But the past few years were the most crowded NAMs ever.
Yeah.
They even opened the north side, which is where the Pro Audio. They moved the whole Pro Audio from Hall A and Hall,
Yeah.
to the new hall, and you would assume that that move would probably put less people, and no, it just made more people in Hall A and Hall. It just became even
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah, I think it was like the biggest one. I think they had what, like about 120,000 people?
I remember there was 100,000. That was, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and past one was probably close to that, and it just became the biggest event, like the stuff in Europe, Music Messa and in Frankfurt and Pro Light, and it changed, and so NAM is starting to get all that, and plus AES joined NAM,
Yeah.
brought a lot more people, so there's AES and NAM together now, and it's huge.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, next year, like the upcoming NAM, we know it's not going to happen, and I'm not sure about the one after.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think they're gonna see how it goes next month, and then they're gonna decide after that. So yeah, so yeah, I guess there's gonna be a lot of people. Their first NAM is gonna be online, so which is gonna be really weird. But
They're not going to get sick.
yeah, that's true. They'll still wear masks, but
But how are they going to be in line for autographs?
I don't know. We'll find out. I guess that's what Zoom is for. I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So
But
all right. Cool.
a lot of businesses actually made big, like Corona hit a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
Businesses made a lot of money because of Corona. It shifted things.
Yeah. It's true. Well, it's going to be interesting because I mean, I when I went this past January, I think for the first time in I don't know when they started, but there was a lot of startup businesses. Like I met a guy from Norway who had, I think, an AI post production program, which I can't remember the name of. I think it's more for like stuff with scoring music for like music libraries for like movies and things like that. I met a few people that had like these startup like keyboards that you can find at like Best Buy and places like that. That was pretty interesting. I found a lot of people that made like they they had even things like different bolts for like just for your guitar straps. And things that you don't really think about. You're like guitar strap, okay, just wear it, right? You don't think about the bolt part. They're like, no, you can change the bolts, and oh, I never thought about that. You don't really think about things like that, and you're like, okay, cool. And then there was a lot of entrepreneurs there, and I thought it was pretty interesting because that's not something you really think about when you go downstairs. Those are usually the places you have the amplifier companies that you never heard of, or these weird knockoff Jackson guitars from China or something.
Right. That's Hall E.
Now all the Chinese companies are upstairs, and then you're like, where did all these companies come from? So
Yeah. Well, that's Hall E, and that's like if you want to see a 40 string bass, or it's like because it's low, it's downstairs, it's cheaper to get a booth, and also there's a thing of like seniority. You have to have a certain amount of years.
yeah,
I think entrepreneurship now is getting bigger and bigger because manufacturing costs for certain things are cheaper,
Yeah.
and the tools to design are in your hand, and you can outsource so much. You know, now you don't have to have a factory. You can have it done in China for you, and you can design the layout. They already have the stuff to make it happen. And now you can outsource a company to do your marketing, so, somebody can come with a cool idea, have the design, have it made with the, in quantities, hire a
Yeah.
company to do this, hire a company to do that, and it opens opportunities. And that's why I think when you went to NAM this year, you were seeing all that. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen in the next CES, AES, NAM, whatever conferences allow people to bring something new to the table, because the cost of manufacturing, design, marketing, all those things, they went down.
Yeah.
You're not doing flyers as much as you've done. You're not printing as much as you've done. You know, a lot of things are boxed the same way. You know,
Yeah.
you have this type of box, this type of, so you have a variety of fixed enclosures, fixed marketing strategies, fixed, and they're cheaper that way because they're already pre-made.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're going to see a lot. And I think that's also one of the reasons that in the computer world, it's becoming bigger. A few days ago, I was just telling my friend, do you know how many plugin companies there are today? I didn't even know that. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Okay, not all of them are getting, known, but people are building them, and then there's small companies that distribute them. So you could find a small company that has 40 different companies.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I come across a lot of them. I mean, I don't know half the stuff out, but they make all these weird gadgets, and you're like, okay, I didn't even know you made that. And I thought they were just like a guitar pedal company. And they're like, no, I make this and I make that, and you're like, okay. So it's like it's kind of strange. Yeah, people just I don't know. They just get on this creative buzz and they come out. They crank out about 50, 60 things. So
It's
and
good and bad. You know,
yeah,
it's good because they have the opportunity. It's bad because sometimes it's too much, and then
yeah,
one thing. But it's always that, like I said, you benefit and you lose, and that's the thing with entrepreneurship. That's why it's entrepreneur. Nobody's
yeah,
promising you'll be successful.
yeah. I was just curious. I'm trying to remember the name of the company. I can't remember which band was playing it. There's a guitar company out of I think they're Israel. It's called like OG or something like that. Have you ever played? Have you ever tried it out? I don't know if that's the name of the company, but
There are, I think, ERG. There's ERG.
is it ERG or OZ or something like that? Or some, I think it's like two letters.
It could be. I mean, nowadays, like I said, things are changing there, and there's more entrepreneurship. People
Yeah.
have more inspiration from outside. People, you know, have more ability. Nowadays people buy more stuff outside the country, and that also
Okay.
what's coming out of the country. If you look at, Waze is from Israel. Waves is from Israel.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. There's a lot of things coming out from there. So if people knew more startup companies and high tech, now there's music instruments and plugins from Israel.
Yeah.
The only plugin company now from Israel. There's a few others. Same with guitar pedals. Like Greenhouse Effects is from Israel. There's other companies too.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what. I think one of the guys from that band Ginger was playing it, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm trying to remember the name of the company, and it just popped. I just saw it on YouTube somewhere. Wait, what's the name of the company? I've never even heard of the company, so I was looking it up on Instagram. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's kind of interesting because I didn't know there were guitar companies out of Israel because most of them, if there are any, then for the longest time, maybe they just weren't that big, so it wasn't financially feasible for them to present at NAMM. So
Well, back in the day, NAM was very hard to get in, and it was still an investment. Also, NAM was not known in Israel much. You know,
oh, okay,
I mean, even worldwide, NAM was more known to the companies, North American music merchants. That was not something that everybody in Europe knew, or even everybody in America. Not everybody knew NAM.
yeah,
It was more televised, with YouTube, and people saw demos. And so now people who never been at NAM know what NAM is, where years ago people even didn't know. Even musicians sometimes didn't know.
yeah,
So it's more common nowadays that, more band, artists go in to NAM. Back in the day, even artists couldn't go into NAM except, if you were doing a demo for somebody. So those companies are custom shops that before they didn't do much,
yeah,
or they didn't do many. They may have done a few, and, and now they're doing more. So now it's like, bigger amount. Why don't we showcase it to other bands? And also, the world is small. You
yeah,
know about a guitar and tell a guy in a band, hey, why don't I send you one? You like it, we do something, And he gets a guitar. If he digs it, now you can do something. You got a few of
yeah,
them endorsers. So, and that happens also with pedals and amplifiers, and plugins as well. So,
yeah,
it, nowadays it's not uncommon that you'll see companies um, from Scandinavia, from Eastern Europe, to showcase their stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. South America as well. There's a
yeah.
lot of
It's true.
companies now there.
Yeah, they're coming from all over. So it's
Yeah, because they already have the ability to approach people online. And now they can get their endorsers, and now they want to showcase in a place where they have visibility towards, the buyers of the big companies.
yeah, it's true. Okay.
Showcase it now, people will see it, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, I see this. I want to get in business with you guys. We'll get 100 of those, 10."
Yeah. All right. Cool. So all right. So I guess we can wind down. So anything else you want to plug that you're working on, or anything that's coming up that you haven't had a chance to mention, or
Well, if anybody hears this and they're interested in working with a mastering engineer that only does mastering, that's focused on that can bring, you know, a new perspective to your project, that, listens to it unbiased and fresh, and bringing something new to the table, help you present your music and make it more engaging to the listener. I'm happy to work with you. His name is Maor Appelbaum, Maor Maor Appelbaum, and the website is maorappelbaum.com. Um, I do everything from all styles of music, from cinematic, classical, jazz, rock, funk, punk, metal, hip hop, pop, singer songwriter, acoustic, death metal, you know, uh, gent, whatever you want to call it. You're welcome to contact me. Um, I do want to say something very important, where I see the business going through a lot of changes on a daily basis. And some people are struggling, some are less struggling. It's very important that we treat each other well, because one day we're here, the next day we're going to be somewhere else, and we don't know where we are. Respect is important. Being humble doesn't mean that you can't brag about yourself or what you do. Being humble is just being respectful.
mm-hmm.
I think that's something that we want to share, because in this business, I come across a lot of people, and it's surprisingly amazing how many people claim they're not figs or whatever you want to call it, but they are actually figs. They're just really nice to their clients or really nice to the people they want to be nice to, but they're not nice by nature.
Hmm?
Just express that. But better be nice, maybe make a friend, or even if not make a friend, either not make an enemy or just not make people feel bad. It doesn't mean you can't be honest with them. You know, if you have an opinion, it's fine to share an opinion. Come from a constructive place.
All right, cool. Okay. And if people want to find you on social media, where can they, or any website, any way to contact you?
I have 6 Facebooks, so just type Maor Appelbaum or Maor Appelbaum Mastering or Radiant Mastering. And Maor Appelbaum. Or Radiant Mastering. Maor Appelbaum Mastering. And I'm approachable, so just feel free to contact me. Thank Ray for.
Okay, cool. Well, I didn't know you had that many. I didn't know you had that many Facebook pages.
Um, I've been around and I work a lot, and you know you gotta cater to your audience, you know.
Yeah.
People. So yeah, well, I try to spread as far as I can, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll have to contact you at one of the 6 pages, and then eventually you'll answer, just in case.
Well, we are in contact. And,
No, I know. It's just I try to contact you on the right one, because otherwise it's like I'm gonna have to try 6 different times. But yeah, at least I have your email address, so at least that makes it easier. So
right. Well, I always tell people, you know, if you can't reach me on the messenger because I don't have messenger on my phone, call me, text me, or email me. I do respond.